Hello and welcome to another episode of All Dressed Up and Nowhere to Go, the series where I sew weird things that I usually don't have any place to wear. In this episode, I'm taking this wonderful Mothman sweatshirt I got for Christmas and altering it to be my size with help from a cannibalized thrift store sweatshirt. As you can see, my pieces are already cut out, but while I've been busy doing other things, one of my cats has been using this sweatshirt as a bed. So yes, it's covered in fur. It's fine. It's going in the wash as soon as we're done here. I started by sorting through the cut pieces to figure out what went where and which ones I needed to set aside for additional material to use later on. I don't normally work with knit fabric on the sewing machine, so this was a new venture for me. I'm using Gutermann thread in black and my trusty Janome gem gold. This is a cheap machine I bought new about 15 years ago for $100 on eBay, and it has worked like a dream ever since. I will live and die by Janome now, so if you ever want my recommendation for a machine, this is it. Sadly, the gem gold is discontinued, but I also have one of their heavy-duty machines, and I love them both. There's very little I can't do with the gem gold, and it has seen some pretty heavy use over the years. I started by trimming down the pieces I wanted to use for the sides. I cut these out of what was the back of the thrift store sweatshirt, making strips that were about 3 inches wide, with a length that ran down from the bottom of the arm side on the Mothman sweatshirt to the bottom. I had already cut apart the seams and taken off the ribbing at the hem. Then I sewed the 3-inch strips into place. I used a medium-length straight stitch for this entire project because that's what I found worked best on the fabric. I did try using a zigzag stitch, which is what is usually recommended on knit fabrics if you don't have a serger or an overlocker, but I didn't like the way it came out, so a straight stitch won out. This isn't a super fitted project, so it doesn't really need the extra give that would come from using a different stitch. After that, I took the pieces from the bottom of the red sweatshirt and compared them to the width of the new sweatshirt to make sure they still fit, because I'm chaotic and didn't measure anything, because measuring means I have to do math, and if I have to do math, I'm more likely to screw something up. So I just kind of eyeballed it, decided it would do, and sewed it in place. The red sweatshirt just had a folded up hem rather than ribbing, which made things much easier, and the end result was more comfortable. Thankfully, my dimensions were spot on and lined up just about perfectly. If you enjoy Chaos and Mothman, now might be a good time to hit that subscribe button and check out my links down below. Join my Patreon for just $3 a month, and you'll get access to my serial, Midnight Radio, which was inspired by various cryptid legends from around the world, including Mothman. I've never done an upscaling project before, so this felt a little bit like I was playing Tetris with my fabric. It didn't really help that this corner of my room was the only place available for me to sew, and not only was the lighting not playing nice for me, but I didn't have room to set up my tripod, hence the plethora of awkward angles. I'm still new to framing this kind of video, and there's really no good way for me to set up my camera so that you can see what I'm doing as I work. I'm just gonna say that moving the camera around makes things engaging and leave it at that, because the alternatives were either a very shaky camera or an angle that only showed the back of my head. Once the bottom of the sweatshirt was assembled, I could move on to the sleeves. This is the part of the process I was most nervous about. I have narrow shoulders but a large bust and large upper arms, which makes it a challenge to find anything that fits. Trying to Frankenstein something like this is even more of a challenge. The sleeves from the red sweatshirt were shorter than the Mothman sleeves, so I had to cut my fabric from the middle. That made me nervous. I added about 4 inches to each sleeve, putting the extra fabric at the underarm, using the former seam as a guide. Then I got to figure out the best way to insert the sleeve. I hate inserting sleeves, especially on projects like this where you have to fudge things a little bit. Like I said, I never measure, I just compared all the pieces to make sure they were the same size, then compared the sleeve head to the arm side, and then I took a deep breath and winged it. The first sleeve went in perfectly, but the second one did something funky and my red and black seams didn't match up correctly. Off camera, I unpicked the seam and then pinned the sleeve back into place, doing a few mental gymnastics to figure out which direction would be easiest to sew in to get the results that I wanted. After the sleeves were in, it was time to start the tricky bits. I know, I just referred to the sleeves as the hard part, but I honestly had no idea if the next two steps would even work. I marked the center, front, and back of the Mothman shirt, then pinned on the hood I salvaged from the thrifted hoodie. I worked from the center out to make sure it went on symmetrically, and that's how I discovered that one side of the hood was almost 2 inches deeper than the other. That was unexpected, but I just added a pleat to the back of the hood and kept going. The fronts overlap by about 3/4 of an inch, but I wanted a little bit of an overlap anyway, so that was fine. I crossed my fingers that the hood would still be deep enough to function after being cut off the original sweatshirt and then sewn back onto another one. I really didn't have a backup plan for the collar, so even if the hood didn't function, I was kind of stuck with it. This last bit just about sent me over the edge trying to work out how I was going to tackle it. I cut the ribbing off the bottom of the Mothman hoodie, but now it's obviously too small for the new hem. The new hem is already finished anyway, so it's redundant. If you've never worked with this kind of ribbing before, it's kind of like bias binding, except it's super stretchy. You sew one side in place, then sew the cut ends together to form a ring before folding it over and sewing the other side into place. Because my ribbing had been cut off another piece, that open side was sewn shut, and I knew I wouldn't be able to close the ring the way you're meant to. So once again, I held my breath and experimented. I started by wrapping the ribbing around my wrist and deciding how much I needed, then cut 2 pieces that length. I made them big enough to go up to about mid-forearm, just in case I wanted to push up my sleeves at some point. I sewed the cuffs into a circle once with my medium stitch, then went back over the edges with a zigzag stitch just to finish them neatly and prevent fraying, since this is the part of the sweatshirt that's going to get the most abuse being near my hands. I grabbed some contrasting thread and on my widest stitch length I sewed around the sleeve as close to the edge as I could get. I don't have a gathering foot for this machine, so I just did it by hand. I didn't back tuck, so I was able to gently tug on the bobbin threads to gather the sleeves until they matched the ribbing. And then I sewed the sleeves to the cuffs in the most awkward manner possible. Even taking the little storage box thingy off the base of my machine, it still wasn't small enough to fit inside the cuff, so I just went really slowly and in a very twisted up circle, trying to follow the original line of stitching that was still on the ribbing. This worked as a useful guide, and it also helped me to hide the not so nice edges at the top of the ribbing, because I do not have the patience to unpick all of that in black in tiny stitches. It just wasn't going to happen. Don't you know the rules of upcycling? Never look inside the outfit. Just don't. Let the jerry-rigged experimental stuff be. And that's about it. There was a lot of trial and error in this project, but overall it went together much easier than expected. I was intimidated at the start, but it turns out I didn't need to be. I really like the looser, boxier fit of this sweatshirt now, as well as the hood. All shirts should have hoods, in my opinion. I also like the stripes on the side. It kind of makes it look like a hockey jersey from the back. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to add a kangaroo pocket to the front. What do you think? Does this hoodie need a pocket, or is that too much? I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and check out some of my links down below, like my Patreon, knitting patterns, and of course my novels. All of them involve crafters of some flavor. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope you have something cute and fluffy to cuddle with. Ciao!